permission to outgrow. Before we begin, let's do a breath hold together. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for 6. Exhale for 7. Again, inhale for 4. Hold for 6. And exhale. Have you ever noticed that trees don't apologize when they outgrow the pot that we plant them in? They don't cling to the ceramic. They don't make themselves smaller so their roots stay comfortable. Eventually, the pot simply becomes too small. Not because it was bad, because the tree kept growing. And I wonder why we expect something so different from ourselves. Over the last 5 years, I've felt myself change in ways I could have never predicted. Not all at once, quietly, almost unnoticeably, until one day I looked around and realized that the life that once fit me doesn't fit me the same anymore. And if I'm really honest, I fought that realization for a long time. Because there's this part of me that wants to be endlessly loyal. The part that believes if someone loved me through one chapter, I owe them every chapter after. The part that confuses changing with leaving. And I've had to learn that those aren't the same thing. Some relationships ask to become deeper. Others quietly ask to be released. Not because anyone had done anything wrong, not because they weren't beautiful, but because we were no longer walking toward the same horizon. And sometimes growth asks us to leave. Sometimes it asks us to stay. And building something entirely new inside the same relationship. I've lived both. I've watched some connections quietly fade, not with conflict or resentment, just with time. And I've watched other relationships become stronger than I ever thought possible. Because we were willing to stop protecting the old version and become curious about what else was possible. And so I've learned that outgrowing doesn't always mean walking away. Sometimes it does mean staying, but refusing to settle for the relationship you've always had. Choosing instead to create the relationship that is asking to be born. And that's a strange kind of grief, because no one teaches you that growth will ask you to mourn people who are still here, people you still love, people who still love you. And I don't think we talk enough about this. The grief where nobody died, nobody betrayed you, nobody became the villain. Life simply kept asking each of you to grow. And growth isn't always in the same direction. You simply stop building a future in the same direction. One day you're texting every morning, planning weekends, dreaming together, and then somehow, without either of you really deciding, the conversations become, "How was your summer?" instead of, what are we doing this summer? And there's no villain, no betrayal, no dramatic ending, just two people continuing to move, sometimes away from each other. And maybe we've mistaken outgrowing for believing one chapter is better than another. I don't think that that is true. The place you were and the place you're going are not better than one another. They're simply different places. The people who loved you there were exactly who you needed then. The people you'll meet next will shape who you're becoming now. Both can be true. I used to think that loyalty meant holding on to everything, holding on to every friendship, every opportunity, every version of myself. But I've realized something. You can only pour so much of yourself before everything becomes diluted. Just like business. Sometimes the most loving decision isn't creating another offer. It's having the courage to focus, to pour deeply instead of widely. And I think relationships ask the same thing of us. Not more people, not fewer people, just the right people for the season that you're currently living. Because every new chapter asks for room. Room in your calendar, room in your heart, room around your table. Take another breath with me. Inhale for 4. Hold. And exhale. Notice what came to mind while we've been talking. Maybe it isn't someone you need to let go of. Maybe it's simply permission to let the relationship become something different. Because if every seat at your table is permanently reserved, where do the people who belong in your next chapter sit? How do the friendships that could shape the next version of you ever find you? Maybe that's why life keeps nudging us toward new conversations, new communities, new teachers, new friends. Not because the old ones weren't enough, but because every version of you deserves relationships that can meet who you're becoming. Maybe we've all been carrying guilt for simply becoming someone new. And maybe we've mistaken outgrowing for abandoning, when really it's one of the most natural things life has ever asked us to do. I don't know who needed this reminder more this week, you or me. Because I think I'm still learning that becoming someone new doesn't erase who I was. It honors her. She got me here. She introduced me to the people I'll always be grateful for. She made choices that made this chapter possible. And maybe the most loving thing I can do is thank her, instead of trying to become her again. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to want different things. You're allowed to build relationships that evolve instead of end. You're allowed to let some relationships become quieter without making them less meaningful. The people who belonged in chapter 1 made chapter 10 possible. Honor them, thank them, leave the door open for new faces, new conversations, new versions of love, new versions of yourself. Because becoming requires space. And space isn't empty. It's where your next chapter arrives. For now.